Hi, this video is for young women. This has been weighing on my mind a long time. This is not for the guys, so if you're a guy watching this, it's probably a waste of time. Okay, these are things that I wish I had known, but I found all out the hard way. And I think I do have a lot of experience since, I was married for 4 decades. And I got married 2 days after I turned 18. And I did love my husband dearly, and I still love him. But when I was in high school, I didn't think I was important or good enough. I didn't think that, anybody would pay attention to me unless I did have a boyfriend. And that is the wrong attitude to have. And I think I married the first guy that, rung my bell. Well, let me tell you what. I think all my sisters did this too, because if you're not familiar with sex, you think, oh, this guy, he's the one because, oh, look what I just felt with my body. Well, let me tell you what. That is not how you judge a person to get married, just because that you have experienced some new feelings in your body. You really need to date as much as you can, because can you make the decision to be with somebody the rest of your life unless you've dated a lot of different guys? I think I only went out maybe with 5 guys in all my high school years. That's not enough. You girls need to date a lot of guys so you know what it's like. Every guy is different. And the thing that really bothers me is you really don't know who you are at 18. You don't know who you are probably at 20. That's why I would put marriage off until a much later date, because I had both of my children before I was 20 years old. And once you get married, you're thinking to yourself, well, what do I have to look forward to? I mean, because it seems like I hit that plateau as soon as I got married. I go, well, what's next? What is there to look forward to? I was an infant at 18. But I'm kind of glad that I had my children that early because of the situation I'm in now. Yeah, and my grandchildren are grown. They're adults now. But when you get married that young, it's like you're stuck in the mud. That's the only way I can put it. Because once you start having children, it seems like every day's the same. You do the same thing every day. You get the children up, you diaper them, then you do the laundry, you do the dishes, you make the beds. And to all you women who have gotten into a relationship early in your life, you're thinking, is this ever going to end? Is my life always going to be like this? Well, let me tell you, nothing lasts forever. And I had those thoughts when I was a young mother. It got a little boring, and I thought, oh, a good mother is based on how clean she keeps the house. No, let the house go. Because my daughter told me once, she says, Mom, you never play with me. Well, where would I find the time, And if I had to do over again, I wouldn't have made the beds. I would have let the laundry go. And I would have sat down and played with my kids. Because once your children get into preschool, they're not yours anymore. It's like you better take advantage of those first 6 years, because that's when you teach your children to pick up after themselves. You teach them manners. You teach them how to respect people and how to eat at a table, things like that. Because don't wait for the teachers to do this, you see. And I really regret putting all my emphasis on my house, because Your child is a little human, little adult, because everything that you teach your children will stay with them forever. And you're molding that child to what you think they're going, what they're going to be when they're an adult. You've got to teach them as much as you can, and you've got to set an example too. You tell them not to smoke or not to drink. Well, if you're doing it, or you think they're going to listen to you? No. So when you're in that everyday boredom, you're doing the same thing every day, just know that time will pass and you can't get those years back. You can't. And I just feel so bad that back in the 70s, we didn't have smartphones and all that. You're lucky enough to have a Polaroid, but document everything you can when you do have young children. Keep a journal, take hundreds of photographs. And this is something else I've noticed. Back in the day, I always was the photographer, and nobody was taking my picture. It's very important that you give the camera to somebody else or set up a tripod and you make sure that you're in the picture with your child. Because it's very important to get the grandmother with your babies and you with your babies. I only have one picture of me and my mother with her holding me, and it's a shame. I think I have only one picture of me holding my children. You must get you in the picture, because those are the photographs that's really going to mean a lot in the future. Yeah. And your children are going to grow up like that. Yeah. It's a blur. But when you're in it, you're thinking, oh God, is this ever going to end? What are my children going to be like when they're teenagers? Well, let me tell you, it goes by so fast. And if you're a member of a club or if you've got other hobbies, I'm going to tell you, your hobby should be your children. Because like I said, you only get so many years to make these little people into respectable, loving adults. Yeah. And one of my subscribers say, why are you always itching your head? Well, it's because I think I've been using this gel that's an irritant. And also I was using shampoo with a lot of chemicals in it. So I have definitely changed that. I know Suzanne Summers has a great line of makeup and things like that that have no harsh chemicals. But back to what I was saying about what it's like to be a young mother. Introduce your children to as much of the world as you can. And I always know money is very tight. Well, you don't have to have money to introduce your children to nature, take them on walks. I think one of my fondest memory is taking my children on a walk. Yeah, and introduce them to animals and insects and teach them not to be afraid of them, unless of course you need to teach them the ones that will harm you. But I've now gone into, 9 minutes. But I just wanted to tell you, young girls, you don't know who you are at 18. You really don't. And when you get married, that is like forever. And it's very hard to get out of a marriage. It's not simple. So I think the biggest argument that me and my ex had for 13 years, because he worked 7 days a week for 13 years, is that I did everything with the children. I did the shopping, the housework, because he was always working, and I let him off the hook for that. But sometimes it would have been nice if he had just taken over maybe once a month or whatever, because that is a big form of, it's a big argument with young people. If, you know, if your spouse, you know, the only chore he has is washing the car or taking out the trash, you know, guys need to do more than that, you know. So yeah, we argued about that all the time because I had a full-time job. See, that's where the trouble comes in. You have a full-time job, your spouse has a full-time job. So the household chores should be split right in two. And if they're not split, if you don't get this agreement before you get hitched, you're in for a lot of trouble. Yeah, you may have married a couch potato. Or you may have married a person that wants to get out and socialize. You need to get all this stuff straight before you get into a serious relationship, you know. And sometimes when you get married, you may not like your in-laws. Well, this was another argument that me and my spouse had for years. He would always talk about my family. Oh, your family's this, your family's that. They're, you know, dysfunctional, whatever. And then I realized that only you should be allowed to talk about your family, you see. And I never really talked about his family. But it dawned on me one day, you don't have a right. Only I have a right to talk about my own family. And I was soon to find out that his family was twice as toxic as mine. Yeah. So, yeah, don't let that be an argument that you have forever, because you can't change other people's families, you know, because when you get married, you're marrying them in-laws too, and they can be a very big thorn in your side. Definitely. You know, they can ruin, make or break a marriage is your in-laws. But I hope I've helped you little girls to realize that you don't have to be hitched or engaged or going steady, that you are just fine the way you are. That shouldn't define you as having a guy on your arm, okay? You really need to go to college, or at least to a technical school. If not, you're going to be, you know, most of us will be stuck in a, you know, $8 an hour job. But you need to be really good. I always told my children, you better learn 3 careers, 3, because the economy can knock your career right off, you know. So you need to learn 3 trades. And I was very adamant about this with my children, to learn how to support yourself in 3 different careers, because you never know. Because I've lived through a couple recessions, and yeah, you really need to learn different skills, not just one. So I hope you all fared through the hurricane okay. And I did make it to church this morning. And yes, I was kicked out of the church choir when I was a teenager because I can't carry a tune. I can do a lot of things good, but I can't carry a tune. So, yeah, and I got to have a nice breakfast this morning, and I got a couple other letters in the mail today, and I will go over them maybe tomorrow and thank people. All right, bye.